Hey everyone, today in Sabotage, we're talking about pride. Now, what if I told you that there was one root cause to all of the bad choices that you make in life? What if there was just one root cause behind all of your sinful choices and all of your evil choices? Well, that one root cause is pride. Now, that might sound a little simplistic, but for centuries, philosophers and religious leaders have said that pride is the underlying problem of humanity. Pride is what causes us to make all the other bad decisions that we make in life. And biblically speaking, pride is any time that we trust our own truth, our own desires, and our own plans over God's truth, God's desires, or God's plans for our lives. And we see the destructive force and pride all over the Bible, especially in the story of King Saul, Israel's first king. And in Saul's story, his pride led to his own destruction and the destruction of his family. And it's a tremendous warning to us about how seriously we need to take this problem of pride. First of all, Saul's story teaches us, don't believe your own hype. When Saul first became king, he kind of saw things the right way. In fact, when Samuel told him that he was going to be king of Israel, Saul was shocked. He's like, I'm an unimportant person from an unimportant family in an unimportant tribe of Israel. And so Saul understood that he had no right, no claim to be king. But as he became king, he began to take his eye off of this wonderful gift that God gave him and this wonderful opportunity that God gave him. And he began to start to trust in himself instead of God. And what we see happen in Saul's life is the very same thing that we read about in this proverb. Pride leads to disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. We see the truth of this verse illustrated in the life of Saul. Pride led to his disgrace because Saul started trusting in his own accomplishments and he thought he deserved the credit instead of God, and you and I can do the same thing. Now, we see all of this really come to a head in 1 Samuel chapter 13 because the enemies of the Israelites, the Philistines, they decide that they are going to attack Israel. And so it creates this crisis in Saul's life when this big Philistine army comes and tries to take on the Israelites and take on Saul. We learn in this moment that crisis is an opportunity to trust in self or trust in God. Now, the Israelites were in a tough situation, but Samuel the prophet had said, Saul, don't worry about it. Wait 7 days and I'm going to show up and I'll make a sacrifice to God. God will tell me what to do and then I'll tell you how to lead the people in battle. And I know that sounds a little weird to us, but that's how things were done in the Old Testament times. And so Saul waits the 7 days, but he doesn't see Samuel, and so he chooses to act on his own desires and plans. Saul waited there 7 days for Samuel, as Samuel had instructed him earlier, but Samuel didn't come. Saul realized that his troops were rapidly slipping away, so he demanded, bring me the burnt offering and the peace offerings, and Saul sacrificed the burnt offering himself. When crisis struck, Saul didn't turn to God, he turned to himself, and he took matters in his own hands, disobeying God. And you need to ask yourself, in crisis, maybe do you do the same thing? Well, let's keep looking at the story. We learn next that our response to God after failure reveals our pride. Look, everyone messes up and everyone does something prideful, but how do you respond when your pride gets found out? Well, let's look at Saul's response. Saul replied, I saw my men scattering from me, and you didn't arrive when you said you would, and the Philistines are at Michmash ready for battle. So I said, the Philistines are ready to march against us at Gilgal, and I haven't even asked for the Lord's help. So I felt compelled to offer the burnt offering myself before you came. Notice what Saul does there. He blame shifts. He blames Samuel. He blames the Israelite army. He blames God. He blames everyone but himself. And if you've got a real pride problem in your life, that's what you do. You blame everybody but yourself. And we see next what destructive consequences unchecked pride has in our lives. Pride sabotages the present and the future. This one little episode of pride revealed a larger issue in Saul's heart that needed to be dealt with. That Saul was a person of pride who would never trust in God fully. And so as a result, Samuel says that God is going to take away the kingdom from your family. Your son, your grandsons, they're not going to be kings. And in fact, later on, eventually God would take the kingdom from Saul. And so we really see the destructive force of pride in this story and how it can sabotage our lives. And that's why I'm so thankful for the cross. Because if you have a pride pride problem, and I'm sure you do have a pride problem because I have a pride problem, the only place where we can really deal with that is the cross. Because it's at the cross where we find a true humility, when we recognize we're too messed up inside. Only God can save us. Only Jesus can save us. And when you trust in him, he will save you from your own destructive pride. Now, we might still have to live with the consequences of our earthly decisions, but we know that our future is secure in Jesus. And so if you see pride in your life, don't be like Saul. Don't blame shift. Take ownership, bring it to God, and find forgiveness at the cross.